Hi, Coach Dooley. This is Vince Ferrara. Good to talk to you.
Hey, Vince. I like your name, buddy.
Thank you. I like yours as well.
And you're Italian.
I am a Vincenzo, Coach.
Yeah, well, I've got a half of Vincenzo, and then I've got a little Irish, too, so I'm an Italian-Irish. But anyway, it's good to chat with you.
It's same here. Talk about how Herschel handled all the accolades and the success and breaking out that quickly, but how he handled it throughout his Georgia career and having so much attention.
Well, it was just amazing that the way he did it never affected him one bit. He had this great ability to always, most every time, to always say the right thing. As far as what he had to say, it was almost standard that the only thing he was interested in was pleasing his coaches and pleasing his teammates. I mean, he was a team player. You couldn't draw up what a team player is and a superstar more than Herschel Walker. And all the players on the team respected him because of that. The coaches respected him because of that. And so he was the easiest individual I ever had the privilege of coaching. It was fun being an offensive coordinator when you had the ball because when Herschel was there, because I don't care what play you designed, as long as Herschel ended up with a ball, it was a great play. I designed some great plays while Herschel was there that never worked again after he left.
Did you ever feel guilty about giving him the ball as many times as you did per game?
No, because he really wanted the ball, and he absolutely, as the game wore on, got stronger and stronger as the defense got tireder and tireder and would wear down. And he absolutely loved carrying the ball, and he was fearless in that respect. We even had him on the kickoff team, which probably was a mistake because he tried to run over everybody that was coming down, at full speed. Now, I told him, I said, Herschel, you don't need to be doing that, And he said, well, I'm hitting them just as hard as they're hitting me. I said, yeah, I know that, but don't be looking up for people to be hitting out on a kickoff team. So I finally took him off. That was a wise decision. And I said, I'll make up that by just giving you the ball more. And also we started using him as a receiver. He's a very, very good receiver out of the backfield and was able to get him the ball on some delay routes, which enabled him to run. He had two great runs against Florida on delay routes after catching a pass. That was a difference in a big ball game against Florida during his run.
Vince, I thought that he should have won the Heisman Trophy his freshman year. He didn't. George Rogers won it. George Rogers had a tremendous career at South Carolina. Do you think, if you fast-forwarded 30 years, that voters would be willing to vote for a freshman to win it now as opposed to what they did in 1980?
Yeah, no question about it. In 1980, voters primarily, their attitude was, you don't win it as a freshman. You win it over the long haul. You win it as part of the test of time. And I think that was a factor in Herschel not winning it his freshman year, though George Rogers, who had certainly passed the test of time, deserved to win it that year. And then even the second year, Herschel had something like 1,900 yards, close to it. But Allen out in Southern Cal had over 2,000. So he won it. Herschel could have won it that year, but finally his junior year, there was no question he won it. If it was today as a freshman, I think the Heisman voters would be more apt.
I watched your national championship game with Notre Dame. I did not realize that early in that game he suffered a separated shoulder, and on the documentary he said, just pop it back in, I'll go back out there. Did you know that he had a separated shoulder?
Oh, gosh, yeah. After the second play, he ran a sweep, and he was hit by a guy. Now, Notre Dame's defense that year was as good as I have ever seen, and they laid the wood to him. And he came out of the ball game to the sidelines with his elbow stuck straight up in the air. I mean, I knew there was something serious. And then even the trainer came over to me that we used to call Dr. Death. He was the most pessimistic guy. He came up and says, Herschel is finished. I was so upset at the time, I almost turned and started choking him and said, you're finished. But I knew I couldn't get anybody to defend me on national television if I did that. But nevertheless, we were on defense, and all of a sudden we got on offense. And then in the meantime, they popped his shoulder back in. He went back in the game and gained 150 yards against a Notre Dame defense that had not given up 100 yards to any back all during the season, and Herschel had 150 with a dislocated shoulder.
He ends up, after his junior year, signing with the USFL. You didn't know he had signed with the USFL at the time he signed, did you?
They kind of got him into a trap and wouldn't let him out. He really had signed, but the fellow that was the owner told him that he said, I'm not sure I want to sign. And so he said, well, if you'll go ahead and sign that if you don't want to do it at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll tear it up. And we had no deal. Well, at 7 o'clock in the morning, he told him, I do not want to sign. I mean, I was already signed. I do not want to do it. So he tore it up in front of Herschel and flushed it down the commode. But what happened is one of his lawyers made a copy of it and got it to the Boston paper. And then that's when it broke. And I didn't know that. I asked him, I said, did you do anything to affect your eligibility? Well, he said, no, I didn't. Because in his mind, the owner had given him his word that it never happened if I didn't want to do it at 7 o'clock in the morning. So unfortunately, he was not able to return his senior year, but he took it once he knew it was over, and like I said, he took his $6 or $7 million and went on and has done extremely well.
Did you think that he was a great pro, or did you think he would be a better pro than he turned out to be?
I think that he would have been a better pro had he been at the right place at the right time. And so much of it is being at the right place, the right time, with the right coach. And I think in all those circumstances, he was never quite at the right place. As you know, he went to Dallas, which was his love, always wanted to be under Landry. And that was the time that they had the changes at Dallas. And so he never became what he wanted to be there. Besides that, Minnesota just offered Dallas the daggone deal that they couldn't turn down and really made their team. And then went to Herschel went there. They started off running him, and he really didn't stay with that philosophy and then got away from it. So he never was at the right place. Then he went to Philadelphia. And even there, he broke a record by having 3 plays of over 90 yards in a ball game. At a kickoff return, he caught a pass and went 90 yards, and he ran a play from scrimmage for 90-plus yards. And then by the time he came back to Dallas, of course, he was up in age then and had a different situation. So, yes, I think he would have been a great pro player if he had been at the right place at the right time.
In the documentary, they talked about his split personalities. Did you see any evidence of that when he played at Georgia?
No, I didn't. When I first heard that, I made the kind of little crack that I didn't know about these different personalities. But I said the one I like is the one that he had when he had the football. I thought that was the best personality that he had. But I think in some ways, we all have different personalities if you think about it. We have, there's goodness in all of us, and there's some not so goodness in all of us. And sometimes you bring out the best in people and sometimes the worst in people. So I think that maybe that was part of it too, that this difference in personalities, and maybe we're all affected that way in one way or another.
Coach, I got one more thing and we'll let you go. Do you still keep up with Herschel Walker? Do y'all still stay in contact with each other?
Yeah, not as much as I would like. Herschel is in such incredible demand that he is all over the place. And because he's such a likable individual and he has invested well, Herschel is smart, but he has come to reunions, and we have visited our captain that year, Frank Ross, probably the best captain of the 25 teams I've ever had, has kept that team together. He and Herschel have been very good friends over a long period of time, and it's through him that we're able to see Herschel more. But I wish we could see him more, and I'm hoping that I'll see him soon. It's just always great to be with him. He's a He's a gentleman in the greatest sense of the word, and I think the best running back that ever played in college.
Vince, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed that documentary. And I thought, well, what better way than to talk about it than with you? And we certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jimmy. And thank you, Vince.
All right.
Brother Vince.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
Guys.
That's Vince Dooley, who coached the great Herschel Walker at Georgia, and his thoughts about Herschel Walker.